Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. This video is just for you guys. It's just for patrons. And I thought I'd share how I make a couple of patterns you're seeing in the photos often. One being an orb, and the other being 16 in-spins, both done with one poi. But both surprisingly harder than you'd initially expect. So an orb, so make sure I don't fall off the cliff, an orb is simply taking a circle and turning that circle on an axis. And I don't have to turn it through a full axis, I just have to turn it halfway. So typically I start spinning towards the camera and I turn to the left, boom, boom, boom. Now when the other end of the poi gets to the camera, it will make a full three-dimensional orb because the photo doesn't know whether the poi is going up or down. What tends to go quirky in these photos, there are two things. One is it's easy to go just up and down with the hand to keep the poi circling, and then you get a really oblong stretched orb, which doesn't look nearly as nice as a circle. Also, it's really easy to be inconsistent because you're using different muscles as you go through the circle. So it's easy to, if you go like that, boop, once, then you get this big one strand coming out of the orb. So it's simply a matter of making a consistent motion and focusing a bit on a side to side rather than up and down, because gravity is already going to bias the poi towards doing this, which makes an oval, not a circle. So you want to overcome that a bit by trying to do side to side, and in the end it will balance out to make a circle. It's easier to do if you can mark a spot on the floor. It's easiest to do if you turn in a circle around the poi, because then you can consistently make the same motion with your hand as you slowly turn. But then you, as the poier, doesn't get captured. Sometimes I like to be in the middle of the orb, and in that case I stand still and I try to make consistent motions with the hand, which is hard because it's different muscles the whole way around. The other thing I typically want to do is make the orb be very geometrically consistent, so all the lines are equally spaced. To do that, I'll often think there's a clock on the ground, so there's, say, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, wait, 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1, 2, 3. So there's the cardinal directions and the in-between directions. So, and I'll make 4 lines between each one. So from here to here is 4. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'll just count it 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm halfway, 2, 3, 4, 3/4 of the way, 2, 3, 4, and finished. And usually in the last circle or two, all move out of the way. So it goes like this. 1, if I start right at the camera, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 2, 3, 4, and 3, 2, 3, 4, and 4, 2, 3, 4. Meanwhile, easiest thing to do is have somebody at the camera in bulb mode, preferably with a remote controlling the camera. We just count it out together. Shutter opens at the beginning, count the whole thing out, release the shutter at the end, and with a little luck, we have a perfect orb. It's very similar making the 16 petal in-spin. So I count it out the same way. And this one, my shoulder is the center of the pattern. And I'm going to go 1, actually for this I guess I go 1, 2, 3. 3, I'm halfway between here and here. Actually on the next one, let's see. 1, 2, yeah, 3, 4, and 1, right? Okay. 1, 2, 3, I'm halfway. 4, and 1, on the next one I'm here. 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. I'm back to here. I'm always counting as the point passes the shoulder. The tough thing in this pattern is it's really tough to get the in-spins equally spaced, especially because your eyes, or my eyes, are much higher above my shoulder. So when I point here, that looks like 45 degrees. It looks like the angle I want for halfway between here and here, and it is from my eyes. But from my shoulder, I'm pointing way too high. So to get the in-spins evenly spaced, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I had to put a lot of time learning to rethink where my arm is and think of where it points on an angle from the shoulder, which meant instead of being here, it's much lower than I realized. And I had to really look in a mirror and mess around a lot to sort of figure that out. So I practiced that a bunch. 1, 2, I find here it's easier to eyeball it because my eye looks right over my shoulder. So it looks like it's on a 45-degree angle, and it is. So from here to here, I can evenly space them. Here to there is the hard part because that's where my eyes are not at my shoulder at all. So in the end, I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 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 click. And again, usually it's somebody on the camera with a remote shutter. They open it at the beginning, close it at the end, and with a little luck, we get, it's never perfect, but an almost perfect-ish 16 petal in-spin. And I think it's really a lovely pattern. So this video is just for you guys. Thanks so much for being patrons and being part of this photo adventure. More stuff coming soon.